What's really happening in the real estate market? We're going to talk about that right now. So it's official. The first month has passed after the foreign buyer ban set by the federal government. Now, despite this, sales and home prices have not plummeted like a lot of experts and analysts thought they would. And the main reason for this happening is because there's a lot less homes available, even compared to February of 2022, which was the peak of the real estate market. Okay, now, if you are currently living in Toronto or you know someone that lives in Toronto, please ensure that they fill out the occupancy forms. Okay, essentially what this is that the city of Toronto wants to ensure that homes are not being vacant for more than 6 months. Okay, and if you don't fill this out before end of February, you will be getting a fine of about $250. Plus, there's going to be a 1.25% interest the first day of default. On another note, the Bank of Canada has raised rates by 25 basis points, which is the 8th consecutive interest rate hike. Okay, now the good news is that the inflation has come down to 6.3% in December from 8.1% in June. And it is expected that inflation will continue to come down. Okay, now the reason why is that they're expecting that it's going to be less foreign demand for Canadian products, which will allow Canadian supply chains to catch up. Now, inflation is expected to drop to 3% this year, and next year it's going to be dropping down to 2% in 2024, which is their ideal target. And if this happens, they're not going to raise interest rates again. Now, the second note that we should talk about is the provincial governments with Bill 23. Essentially, it's the More Homes Built Faster Act by the Ford government. And essentially what this means is it allows developers to waive the development charges, but this causes municipalities all over Toronto to lose $5 billion. Now, this is considerably a lot less of taxes that they're collecting, and so they need to come up with this shortfall in other ways. And what they're all going to be doing is to raise property taxes. Now, East Gwillimbury is going to be hit hardest, is what analysts expect, which is about 100%. Okay, Toronto and Aurora is going to be about 6%. Richmond Hill hasn't come out with a number yet, but it is expected that they lose $330 million over 10 years. And in Vaughan, it's going to be anywhere from $169 million to $175 million. Okay, so they may raise property taxes by 77 to about 88% if they don't come up with revenue in other ways. Okay, Markham is going to be about 6.4%, but it hasn't been finalized yet. Okay, so if you have any other questions, please let me know. But for now, let's dive right into the numbers. Let's go. So looking at the Richmond Hill real estate market, we can see that the number of transactions stayed relatively similar for detaches. Same with the condo apartments as well. Now, there are a little bit more transactions that happen for the townhouses, from 12 units in December versus 20. And for the actual condo townhouses, it's actually 11 more units that sold. Okay, so in reality, the market actually went up by 10% in terms of sales. And now looking at the actual number of listings available, right, it actually went up as well on a month-to-month basis. From December to January, 114 units to 140 homes. Okay, and same thing where condo apartments stayed relatively similar, 93 to 95. And for the condo townhouse, it actually went up drastically from 4 units to 23. Okay, now if we compare these numbers back to February, okay, there are a lot less listings now compared to the all-time high of February. How many? Well, overall, the active listings, percentage-wise, there are actually 11% less listings on a month-to-month basis. But if you compare it to February, there is a lot more listings available. Okay, so that's what's really interesting to note. There's less listings now than in February, hence the prices actually stayed relatively stable. And especially how it's the foreign buyer ban for January, you would expect that the prices would start plummeting. But that's not necessarily the case, especially how Richmond Hill, there's a lot going on. There's lots of Persians that live in Richmond Hill. There's lots of uncertainty with the government in Iran. And, because of the whole ban situation, you would expect that the home values would start dropping quickly. But in reality, for the higher valued homes, that's not the case, right? For detaches, it will actually, the price wise, it went up by 1%. For the semis, it actually went up by 18% in 1 month. Okay. Now, what's important to note though is that for the semi-detaches, there are only 5 transactions that happen. So 18% really, it's not really a big number, a significant number, as I should say, right? So for the townhouses, 12 transactions 1 month, 20 the month after, and this month. So the prices dipped by just a little bit of 1%, not a big noticeable change. And for condo townhouses, okay, it's actually gone up significantly, right? In terms of price, it actually went up by 6% from 4 transactions up to 15 transactions. So it is a big jump, okay? And for the condo apartments, right, there are less sales that happened, right? 9% less, but the days on market actually also increased as well. So it's really important to note that, okay, so for the type of market, as we can see here, that it is still a seller's market in Richmond Hill. Okay, don't get that mixed up. If your friends and news are telling you it's a buyer's market, that's not the case at all. Based on these figures here, we're looking at the supply and demand. Okay, anything less than 5, it's really a seller's market. Okay, 0 to 5 is seller's market, 5 to 6 is a balanced market, and from 6 onwards, it's more of a buyer's market. And as you can see here in Richmond Hill, all the figures, all types of homes are less than 5, significantly. Okay, 3.1, 1.4, 1.4, 1.53, and a 3.06. Okay, for condo apartments. Now, that's not to say that it's gonna stay like this forever, right? If you compare it to the month before, right, that was more of a seller's market. Now it's still a seller's market, but not so much. Okay, there are a lot of agents out there that still think it's a buyer's market, but that's not really the case either. Okay, so it's important to go through the numbers and understand what's really happening, and not really just listen to what's on the radio. Okay. Now, if you look at the days on market, okay, it is taking longer to sell, certain types of homes. Okay, so if you look at the condo townhouse, right, on a month-to-month basis, it took 23 days in December, now up to 37. Okay, if you look at also condo apartments, again, still taking longer, 27 to 34. But if you look at the detaches, okay, it actually decreased from 28 days to 21. Right, so if you find this information useful, please like it, subscribe, share with a friend or colleague that's interested in the markets as well. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Be happy to help. Take care. Bye-bye.